You are live. Okay. Hello,
Hey,
everyone. Welcome. Hello, Kyle.
what's going on, Jeff?
What's going on? Just doing a live stream. Just talking to another one of my creative internet friends. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to finally hang out. Like, even though, we've known each other quite some time on TikTok and Instagram, it's cool to finally chat.
It is. It is very cool to chat. This is Kyle talks to Jeffrey. I've got a banner and everything.
Nice.
Yeah. How long has it been that we've known each other through that followed each other on the internet and such?
Yeah, it's got to be at least like 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah,
You're right?
that's what I would think too. Probably 2 3 years.
Yeah. And
Um, yeah, I'm
it's,
trying. I don't know if I remember exactly like how I first encountered you or like the first video I saw of yours that made me want to follow you. Do you have any memory of that?
I remember I seeing your stuff and thinking it was just super cool. And then I was always really like honored. People would be like, "Yo, you and Jeff Kane should collaborate." Like I felt like I started getting comments like that for a while,
Yeah,
and then like I think we just became buds through that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then I remember you were on the podcast Friendless
Oh yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
I believe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you gave me a shout out and that I don't know that he posted a clip of that I think,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
then I ended up being on the podcast as well.
Yeah, that was
Eh,
great. I
Yeah,
listened to
yeah.
you on it.
And there was another first like kind of collaboration, impromptu collaboration, I guess, where you were animating people's
Yeah,
profile pictures, picking names out of a hat, and you picked mine.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I was so excited about that I wanted to animate you and kind of try to replicate your style.
yeah. That
Um,
was so cool.
yeah, so this is maybe like I guess our third time touching base, other than just commenting on each other's videos and stuff. But yeah, very cool. I don't know. I'm relatively new to like YouTube, and I've sort of just been playing around. Someone
Yeah.
that says, "Did you guys intentionally match beanies?" Wow, that's a really good question.
No, just a happy coincidence there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're talking about our beanies a little bit off mic before we started recording to say that yeah we're beanie bros, beanie buddies.
Yeah.
Just
They're almost the same color. I like your
yeah,
color there.
very similar. One more way that we are the same person deep down.
Yeah, man. I know that's what's funny about social media is like there are so many people or like a handful of creatives that I really love their stuff and like actively try to like engage with through commenting on their videos and stuff. And even though like we haven't had face-to-face conversations, I feel like I know you in this very,
Yeah,
like parasocial way, which is
yeah,
unique.
absolutely. Yeah, I think because we both have something in common that we both like make these videos where we kind of incorporate some kind of animated element with live action footage of ourselves, and we both
Yeah,
sort of like talk about our lives and our feelings
yeah.
and share things. I feel like we both have sort of been tapping that well of kind of the overshare or leading with vulnerability, maybe is a better
Yeah,
way to put it.
yeah.
Side of
Yeah,
TikTok. Yeah.
I'm curious to ask you then, like, I know there's been a handful of posts of mine that I post, and then after I'm like, I have like a vulnerability like hangover afterwards. Do you ever have that where you're like, man, that was a very personal one I just put out there,
Vulnerability hangover, what,
where it's
as
like,
in like feeling like regret afterwards
well,
or
or
feeling.
like, man, I just shared like, yeah, did I share too much of myself in that video, or like,
Yeah, yeah.
so every once in a while I'll have that.
um I don't know. I guess so. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's been like a specific time when I regretted or when it backfired on me. Usually it's more I have more hesitation beforehand. Like
Mm,
I'm worried that people will judge me or like this is too private, too intimate to share. And then usually like after I share it, it's usually sort of a relief or I
mm,
feel validated because I get supportive comments from people.
mm.
I suppose I get like negative troll style comments as well from time to time, but I don't. I typically just find those to be amusing more than
Yeah.
insulting for the most part.
Yeah.
How about you? So it sounds like you've had a couple of bad experiences where you've gotten burned that way,
Well,
or
no, not. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in the way of like I just I just got more vulnerable than I like than I'm comfortable with. You know, like
mm-hmm.
I mean, I felt that
Yeah.
way when I originally started talking about like sobriety and stuff like that, where it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, on TikTok, it was okay because it was like no one knows me there. You know, it's just like kind of an anonymous person there. But like on
Yeah.
Instagram, like people are following me who are like friends of mine in real life, and so it's like, am I oversharing? But no, it's so funny. It's like afterwards, always like still to just the other day, I ran into someone who was like, "Hey, I quit drinking a couple months ago. I wanted to tell you because your videos like helped me in a little bit." Like I'm like, that's so cool, you know. Like
Yeah.
it always, it's like I'm being a little bit too self conscious on my end. Like you know, people are can relate to it way more than I think. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it's often rewarded more so than it's punished by sharing something, personal about yourself. Within reason, of course. I'm sure there are plenty of examples we can think of where that would be a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on the sobriety thing, by the way. That yeah, you were an inspiration to me as well. I sort of
Wow.
yeah, I recently
Thanks,
decided
man.
to quit drinking alcohol a few months ago and sort of like went down sort of a YouTube rabbit hole of just watching all of these videos of people kind of talking about I quit drinking and now I feel so much better
Oh yeah.
and blah blah blah. And yeah, you of course I was aware that you had done that because you've been pretty outspoken about it. And yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think
Oh,
you've been an inspiration to many people, I'm sure.
that's awesome to hear. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little over 2 years sober. It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Um,
congratulations.
Thanks. And yeah, I think I guess I did take kind of a big leap in being very open with it on social media because
Yeah.
like, you know, everyone's sober journey is different, but I think it's been helpful in a lot of ways to keep me accountable for my sobriety of like sharing that that's something that's really important to me to like to pursue a sober life, you know?
Yeah. How has it been? Has it been different than you expected? Has there been more benefits? Has it been harder?
No, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's uh, I mean, there's challenging times, you know, because I think for me, like alcohol was a way to like relieve anxiety and stuff like that, you know. So like doing life on life's terms, it can be challenging at times, but it's like
Mhm.
I think like so many cool things happened after getting sober that like I feel like I attested to being sober, you know, like all the cool film opportunities in my life happened to happen around the time I got sober, you know, like I couldn't have dreamed of all the cool things that have happened in the last like 2 years, you know, and maybe if I wasn't sober, I wouldn't be able to show up for those kind of like things, you know. Uh, like for
Yeah.
me, you know, even like when because I've been trying to pursue film for over a decade now, like lots of times in like the process of trying to become a filmmaker, a lot of time spent like editing and drinking a glass of wine at night and get into the routine of like that, you know, and maybe in a way like I had to just kind of get out of my way to like to have these cool things happen with film, you know, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. That does make sense. That leads me into sort of the first question I wanted to ask you about is you're such a prolific filmmaker. When it comes to, I know that's sort of your origin stories. You used to make like short films, which by social media standards are
Like
slightly
long,
longer. So now you're
yeah,
making more short films. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you seem to produce a new video just about every day. It seems like. What's the secret? How do you pump them out like that? And they're all quality as well, I
Oh,
should say.
thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think the secret is like a lot of the things that I make, I see as like I'm making elements for future stories to tell. So you know, like if I make a mixed media piece, like sometimes I'll repurpose that in another piece, and it's all like you know creating the building blocks in order to tell more and more stories. So like I, I try like anywhere from like 2 to 3 times a week to make something like completely new. But then
Mm-hmm.
besides that, like you know repurposing something to tell a different story, or like trying things out and experimenting is what I do throughout the rest of the week. So I feel like I'm prolific, but I'm also like I'm all about the idea of resharing, repurposing things, and like especially because like we rely on like algorithms so much. An algorithm might not get you right the first time around. So like if you have a video you really dig, maybe try something new, like tweak a couple of things down the road and post it again. That's what I'm all about.
Totally. That actually, that's another thing about you that has sort of inspired me, because that's another thing you've sort of been outspoken about, is the idea of like it's okay to reuse assets, especially like with I certainly have noticed like you reuse a lot of the same animations over and over again, or repurpose them or remix them in some way. And I feel like that's something I probably would have felt self-conscious about beforehand, but I've sort of tried to embrace that as well, or find creative ways to not reinvent the wheel. I guess I sort of did that with the video I was making today. I was thinking, I was just like so far behind. Like, shoot, I haven't even like posted about this. I should make something to promote. Like, hey, me and Kyle are talking, try to get some people to watch it. And then I realized, oh yeah, I made this animation of him, and he made an animation of me like over a year ago. So I was digging that up, and I'm like, wow, this animation is so good. Who made this?
I know your animation was awesome. I loved it.
Oh, thanks.
But it's one of those things also where like both of our audiences have grown since we made those animations, stuff like that. So it's cool to like put it out there, and like a whole new group of people are seeing this just for the first time.
Right. And of course, like you said, with the algorithm, even the people that do follow you consistently, they're more than likely not going to see every single video.
Yeah, right.
And even if they have seen it, after enough time passes, perhaps they'll forget about it anyway. Yeah. And branding too, right? Just repetition. Maybe people will respond to the way we see the same studio logos over and over again, and we don't seem to get sick of that. So
I think of it's also like what's it called? How I forget what my train of thought was, but basically like you put stuff out consistently enough. Like the algorithms are, a lot of it's about like discovery, and which is like kind of frustrating as a creator, but like they're always trying to put the audience onto new things. So like when you repurpose stuff, there's a good chance the majority of the people originally accounted are people that are new or fresh to it. So instead of that mindset of like, oh, my audience is going to be annoyed that I'm like re-sharing this thing, be like, oh, some new people might see this.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, like the less time we can spend killing ourselves for content we're not getting paid for, the better as well. All right. Well, that leads me to another question I want to ask you, but just about social media in general. Again, like I feel like our friendship, of course, would not exist. We wouldn't know each other existed without social media. And when I look at you and the way it's sort of like opened up this whole new sort of genre of filmmaking and way for you to express yourself and stuff, it seems like such a good, cathartic, like positive experience. Though of course, like we all know there are many, many very obvious negatives to social media. And this is something I think about all the time, whenever I like read stories or hear people complain about social media, or find myself complain about social media. I don't know. I feel I have such mixed feelings about it, because of course I recognize all the problematic stuff about it, but I also like I really enjoy it, and sometimes I feel sort of guilty or uncomfortable saying that, but at the same time I do feel like it is a legitimate incentive for creative expression. So what are your thoughts on whether social media is net positive or negative?
I think it comes down to, it's like it's a tool. It's like anything where it could be used for bad and used for good. And so like there's lots of things that frustrate me about social media, especially as a creator. Like somewhere like TikTok, where it's such a roller coaster of like the inconsistency of like, you could put something out and like 200 people see it, and then you could put something else out and 2 million people see it, and there's no like, and then your next video might be like there's no like predictability of it.
Yeah.
it was like it's like super exciting at first, but then really frustrating if you're like wanting to do that day in, day out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I guess it's just about like figuring out what's your relationship to it. Like for me, I felt like TikTok especially, I had created kind of like a negative relationship with it over the last couple of months, just because I
Hmm.
felt like I was putting stuff out on both Instagram and TikTok, and things were doing really, really well on Instagram, like crazy growth, posting the same videos on TikTok, and then like it wasn't getting pushed out at all. Um, and and it just made me be like, I think I need to take like a little space from it. And I downloaded this app called ClearSpace. Have you heard of it?
Clear space.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
It
yeah.
basically makes it so that you can set certain apps on your phone that you like want to only use like a couple of times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And like basically like I could use TikTok like 7 times a day, and when I go on it, it's set, most amount of time I can spend on it is 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And but and because of that, like it's made it seem really silly to me to spend so much time on TikTok that like I barely use it anymore. Like I go on it maybe 1 to 4 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it feels really nice to have that kind of like boundary with it. And it just made me realize it's like I just kind of get lost in that scroll. Um, so like that's like on the negative side, but at the same time, like I, if it wasn't for TikTok, I wouldn't have met so many amazing creative people, you know, that I'm friends with, like, you know, like you, and then like my friends, Drew, who you know, like Dr. Ew on
Yeah.
TikTok, and Blake of Today are like some of my best buds, and we like have a group chat. We like are in each other's lives in a very consistent, you know, way, and like that's like all because of the internet. So like it's not, you know, I can't say social media is like a bad thing or a good thing. It's like there's some really good people making cool things on it, and then there's like the negative sides at the same time.
Totally. Yeah. I've seen videos of you and Doctor Ooh getting together in real life, which is
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
fun.
That was awesome. I got to hang
Yeah.
out with him this summer, and we need to make plans to hang out again soon. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. Yeah. I would love to see you guys create more collaborative content together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And if
Um,
you're ever out in New York, gotta come hang
I
with us.
know. I know. I do need to make my way out. I need to get out of out of this filthy desert and explore more of the real world. Though, yeah, that has been something that I've experienced just more and more as I've continued to produce content for social media. Is just people in the wild
Oh yeah,
recognizing me from social media.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's always so fun, and I try to always have stickers on me so that whenever
that's
someone
awesome.
sees me in person, and like, are you Jeff Kane? Oh, I follow your Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is,
That's rad.
so that I have something to give them to commemorate the moment. Yeah, that's always
Yeah,
such a fun experience.
yeah. That's the best part about internet fame. You know, like
Hmm.
I just had last week, I was at a Trader Joe's in the parking lot, and this woman was like, "Oh, you probably get this all the time, but I just want to say I'm a big fan of your videos." And it like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
means the world to me, you know? It's
totally.
so cool.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. I remember you made one video where you said something like, I feel like I'm just the right level of famous where like
Yeah, yeah,
I get recognized like here and there sometimes, but I'm not like a celebrity who can't leave their house because they're
yeah,
gonna get
yeah,
mobbed by the paparazzi. Yeah.
yeah. I I was gonna add it onto that video. Like what made me think about that concept was that I was once on a train with Julianne Moore, you know, the actress Julianne
Yeah,
Moore,
yeah. Oh, amazing.
and she was on the subway, and she was just like reading her book, like she was trying to like make it so that no one knew it was her, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like I was like playing it cool, like all right, I know that's Julianne Moore, but I'm not gonna like blow up her spot. And then
Hmm.
like someone went up to her and was like, "Excuse me, are you Julianne Moore?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And then everyone like busting
Right.
out the phones,
As
like
soon as
taking
one
photos.
person.
It
Yeah,
was like it felt so invasive and like sad, you know, like
totally.
no one was respecting her privacy. So it's like having a little bit of internet fame. That's like the best,
Yeah.
the best
Wow.
level of famous.
That's very cool and very mature of you, Kyle, to resist the urge to go for the selfie. I don't know if I would have such restraint. Um, I'm trying to think of like what would be the best deep cut to to come to Julianne Moore with, like,
Yeah, right.
or I don't know, what's her most famous role that she's like sick of getting. I don't know. She's an actor who's in like so many good movies, but
Yeah.
I don't know if she has like one specific. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like Boogie Nights maybe might be
Yeah.
kind of a fan favorite. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Iconic
yeah.
one.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Another thing I want to ask was about so with like all the friends we make and the friends we make along the way, you know, and also the inspiration that we get from other creators. Do you struggle with the comparison and jealousy? That was something I mentioned in my promo of you. Of like, I would admire Kyle if it weren't for my
Yeah, that cracked
wild
me up.
jealousy of him, and I was only sort of kidding, of course.
Yeah, I think I've gotten to a better place with that. I think for a while I would do that comparison game.
Hmm.
And it was always what I was most frustrated about was not like the talent. Like I love other people's like creativity and love seeing it. Like I'm a big supporter of other creators online. It was like whenever someone was able to find like consistency, like
Hmm.
certain people that like, yeah, every time they would put out a video, it would get a certain level of like consistent views. But now over time, it's like that's such a silly thing to care about. I think like, and I think most creative people can relate to that. That like, making stuff and putting it out there, like the end goal should never be to like garner more views. It should be to like make stuff you're proud of and want to watch back in like 10 years from now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel like especially in the early days when I was really getting obsessed with TikTok and kind of like getting obsessed with how can I get the most views and like trying to jump on trends and things like
Yeah.
that. I was always so frustrated with people who clearly put very little effort into their videos and got like were rewarded for their low effort with
Yeah.
more views and more likes and more virality. And yeah, of course, like as a creative person, like my perfectionist self would like struggled to just like pump stuff out quickly
Yeah.
in a very like slapdash kind of way. But of course, like sometimes it honestly feels like the more time you put into a video, the less they seem to like it.
Yeah, what's funny with that is like over time, like especially right now, I see all these like TikTok gurus online saying like 2024 is all about low pressure content. Like just make
Hmm.
things like don't do animations, don't do like crazy edits.
Yeah.
And I think that's like I wanted to make a video about this because I'm like I think it's great advice for like people who just want to just make content. But
Hmm.
if you're an artist, like that's a terrible strategy,
Right. Right.
because like you should keep leaning into what you love to do. Like I talking about like low effort content. I've had like a couple of videos go viral that were low effort, just
Hmm.
like a funny like duet or something. And it's cool that it popped off, but it's not like satisfying in the sense of like when a video you put a lot of time and effort into that's special to you, when that gets seen by a lot of people, like that's like so much more valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more valuable when you look back on it years later even. Like it's kind of crazy to think like we're a couple years into it already. And sometimes I'll just like revisit like videos that I made a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Much like the animation I made of you, yeah, part of me is sort of like shocked at the amount of effort I put into it. It's like who has time to do all of this work to make this animation for a video that you're doing like essentially just for fun. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's part of me that's like proud of myself, like looking back on those types of things. And part of me like, man, you wasted so much time. You could have been working on a client work that actually paid money and you'd be rich right now.
That's so funny though, because like honestly, like that's the stuff that I enjoy the most. Like if you're making like a video and there's not a client that has to like approve it or anything, and it's just something that you made and you love, like
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's way more rewarding because like I'm not like looking at it like, oh man, did this person feel this was worthy of like paying me to do, versus like I love this and I hope other people love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely I don't know, like there's definitely a teacher is out and the kids have control of the classroom kind of
Yeah.
feeling to when you're making videos that are just for you and just pure self-expression. No
Yeah.
no client approvals needed.
Yeah, well, that's what's most appealing to me about with like YouTube, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. Is like that's where I would love to grow in this next year because it's like that seems to be
Hmm.
a spot where, as creative people, like it's the most challenging to grow an audience on. But once
Yeah.
you find that audience, like YouTube does a lot better job like showing your work to that audience. It seems like, and then you could like monetize it in a way of like make money off the ad revenue of it and stuff. Like that'd be awesome to get to a place where just make the videos that I want to make, and it's actually my job to do just that.
Yeah.
It's the fun part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I share that ambition as well. I feel like, yeah, part of me is like sort of kicking myself for, man, why didn't I like put more effort into like growing a YouTube following
Yeah, me
years
too.
ago? But of course, like better late than never.
Yeah,
Um and yeah, it's been enjoyable. I share all the frustrations of it's sort of like starting from zero, of course, all over again.
yeah,
But of course, YouTube is has been doing the shorts for a couple years now as well. So I mean, I have a handful of shorts that kind of blew up to thank for the fact
nice.
that I have like the following that I do.
That's right.
Um, and I don't know, yeah, it feels there's so much awkwardness to it because again, like I feel like really good at what I do with the short form, like vertical videos, and just in terms of like I know how to like have one idea and like really trim it down to just its bare essence and make it like visually appealing throughout the whole time. And then with YouTube, of course, I'm trying my hand at making longer videos and
Yeah.
I'm trying to embrace the low effort thing of like I'm not gonna script it. I'm not gonna like
Mhm.
fill it with B-roll the whole time. I'm just gonna like talk to the camera and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and again, yeah, I feel like I'm like not very good at it. Not very good at like having engaging content that way in the same way that I am with shorter videos. So yeah, in one way it's
What
frustrating. In one way it's like it's a
yeah.
fun exercise of trying out a different skill.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
anything, like, you keep doing it, and then a year from now, you're like in the same way with, like, when we look back at our older TikToks, like, "Oh, yeah, I was
Hmm.
figuring it out then," and now you're like, "Now I figured out what's my thing here," you know?
Totally.
It's exciting to embark on that. That's how I feel. I'm like, I wanna get to a place of putting out, like, 1 or 2 long form YouTube videos a month in this year, and then
Hmm.
but I'm, like, having paralysis of, like, making that first one. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what does that look like? What is my style here? You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, the good news is if you don't have much of a following, you don't need to
Yeah.
worry about embarrassing yourself because no one's going to see it.
Yeah. But YouTube Shorts also has been really cool. Like,
Hmm.
it's funny, like, I only have like 400 followers on YouTube and 110,000 on TikTok, and I've been getting more views on YouTube Shorts recently.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of fascinating how like now at this point I usually will make a short form video, edit it on DaVinci on my laptop, and then just send it to my phone and upload it to all three. And it's fascinating to see how the exact same
Yeah,
video
yeah,
performs differently.
yeah,
Sometimes I use the same song, sometimes I use a different song, and that's kind of fun thing to
yeah,
see how
yeah,
like
yeah.
the exact same video like of course has a completely different vibe if you're using different background music to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know I had that happen the other day where I put a song on for TikTok and Instagram, and by then I was like, "Man, I should have used this other song," and I put on for the YouTube Shorts version, and it's like,
Yeah.
that one was the best one." That
Totally.
was
Yeah,
the right one.
that can be a fun way if you can't decide or if you have multiple songs in mind for which
Yeah,
one
yeah.
fits the best. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It's I think, like, for me, like, getting used to the roller coaster ride of it all is, like, the was the hardest part about with social media. I wonder if that's similar for you, if, like, like, I feel like we both joined TikTok when it was still, like, the Wild West there, where,
Hmm.
like, you can, like, build very quickly an audience and, like, it felt like, "Oh, this is gonna be the we've arrived." And then we
Yeah.
realize that it's a ride, with lots of ups and downs.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't know. In some ways I feel like my glory days are over in terms of like I had this huge like moment of my first year or two when I blew up, and I feel like I haven't grown much at all since then, and I don't know, I haven't been like as motivated. I haven't been producing content every day
Really?
on there.
I feel like you've had kind of a nice, spike in, like, Instagram and stuff like that recently, right?
Yeah, yeah, recently have gotten quite a few more followers on Instagram, and of course, like, yeah, it's yeah, not of course, it's not all about numbers despite
No, yeah.
despite everything that's coming out of my mouth right now. Yeah, it's about the creative expression as well. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I had like a time in like my first year on TikTok, I sort of like had that discipline or just like that commitment that I'm going to try to produce a video every single day. And like that was super fun and super creatively fulfilling. And I feel like in some ways I'm still sort of reaping the benefits of the work I put in then, because now I
Mm,
definitely don't produce something every day.
yeah.
But I don't know, trying to be more quality over quantity, even
Yeah.
though like TikTok doesn't care. TikTok does not care about quality at all,
Yeah.
but just like
That's
only making something when I like feel like I have something I really want to say
yeah, yeah.
rather than making stuff for the sake of making it.
I think that's a good strategy though in the long run. Like I
Hmm.
think like for, when I found your account, your style is so unique and your art is so good that like of the tons of people that I get like videos put in front of me every day, like
Yeah, yeah.
your work has consistently like stayed in my mind as like, there's that's why when I'm on a podcast, like, and like who are creators to check out, like your name comes to mind because you're doing something cool and unique.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I
Yeah.
gotta hype you up. This is
Yeah. Right
I'm gonna
back at
call
you.
it
Yeah.
call it now. This is Jeff Kane's year. This
This is my year.
2024 is when you're gonna YouTube blow up everywhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Appreciate you saying that. Yeah, but I mean, of course, as we both know, that's not what it's about, right? Social media
No, no.
success does not lead
Yeah.
to deep down happiness
No.
or any of those
100%.
things.
No.
Yeah.
But I just mean to say, because you're saying you felt like if you after the first year of TikTok, you've like felt like
Hmm.
it's been harder to keep building. I think it all just comes down to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
keep making stuff. Like
Hmm.
how many creators did we know in the short time that we've been making stuff for TikTok and places like that like fell off after a couple months of making stuff that were really talented, but just like it's a grind to like continue to show up and make things, and put yourself
It
out there.
it really is. Yeah. It's interesting as I was thinking about talking to you and asking you about how prolific you are. I don't know. It's such a strange thing because of course like burnout is such a real thing of just
Mm,
like working all the time. Obviously, you have to work on your actual job and
yeah,
on
yeah.
top of making social media content, which can be very time consuming. And of course, you have like family, personal life, all this other stuff going on. So there's burnout is an inevitable thing, I think, for a lot of creators.
Oh,
But
for
at the same
sure.
time, there's sort of like riding that high of creative energy. Like I was saying, like if you are on that kind of rhythm of I'm gonna make
Hmm.
something every day or 3 times a week or whatever it is, sometimes
Yeah,
I feel like it's I don't know, like when I am making stuff, I just can't not make stuff and it
yeah,
just keeps coming out of me.
that's
And
how
it's
I
like
feel
it's
too.
right, exactly. So I don't know. It's a strange thing because you have both, and I'm sure you've experienced just total burnout as well, where you feel completely unmotivated to make
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, it's crazy, um, how that happens. There's times where you're just like on fire for it and you're riding that wave, and then there's other times you're like, oh man, like it's over for me. I'm done. Like all my good ideas are out there in the world. I don't have
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
else to add to
Hmm.
this. But it's and that fades away and something comes to mind.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. We peaked early. It's time for us to to retire and let the Zoomers take over.
No, yeah. I'm excited to see how like in this decade what short form content evolves into, or like
Hmm.
it's exciting to see. I don't know.
We have a comment here. The grind don't
Oh,
stop.
that's my cousin Kira.
Oh, yeah.
What's up,
Shout out
Kira?
to cousin Kira.
Yeah, grind don't stop.
Um, yeah, the grind don't stop. Is that a positive or negative thing? What's your reaction to
I
that
think it's a
comment?
positive thing. Or
Okay.
just keep grinding, just keep
Hmm.
making things. Uh, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
it's funny because my cousin Kira, she used to work at this coffee shop that I would go to every day, like to work on stuff in the afternoon, and like so she'd see me in my like high days of like, oh, a video blew up, like I'm so excited for it, and then the low
Yeah,
days where
yeah.
I'm like, like it just isn't working. TikTok's not working for me.
It's positive for sure. All right, thank you for that clarification. Okay, and you were saying it'll be interesting to see how short form content evolves. Do you have any predictions for what that
Yeah,
evolution is going to look like?
I don't know. I think we're gonna see like at least in the next year or so, like more long form things. Like, I don't know if you saw. I made a video recently talking about how I'm really into this style of YouTube videos called YouTube New Wave. Do you know what that's about?
YouTube New Wave? No,
Yeah,
enlighten me.
it's like a whole bunch of creators that on YouTube that are responding to like the Mr. Beastification of YouTube, where there's like crazy
Mm-hmm.
quick cuts and edits and everything super fast and trying to keep your attention constantly and
Yeah,
retention. And they're making these videos that are like slow and take their time to unfold, and they're like beautifully scored, like cool music, and the shots are awesome. And a lot of them are doing kind of similar to what you're doing, like living out of cars or van life,
yeah.
and just like exploring. Like I think you would actually really dig some of the creators I should send you. Um, like, do you know Wholesome Simon?
Wholesome Simon? No, I don't think so.
He's someone I think you would dig. And then there's this dude Aiden. What's Aiden's? I'm like blanking on. It's Valsper family is one that's really cool.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's yeah.
Yeah. Send me the links. Yeah, yeah. That'd be fascinating. I know there's been. I've heard people talk about how that's become this trend of like trying to make videos as long as possible. I
Oh, really?
think because I remember seeing a thumbnail for like a deep like dive analysis on Star Wars Episode One, The Phantom Menace, and it's 12 hours long. It's been on my to watch list for weeks now. 'Cause my immediate thought just when I saw the thumbnail and saw like it's a 12-hour video analyzing The
That's
Phantom
nuts.
Menace, I
That's
was
crazy.
yeah like wow. That's amazing. Have to watch that, but also like,
That's a
when am I
big
gonna when am I
investment.
gonna make
Yeah.
time to watch that? It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, but
Yeah, no, these videos
it's
aren't that
coming.
long.
Hmm.
These are like 25-minute videos, but it's all these really interesting creators. And it's funny because a lot of them are also like mutuals of mine on like TikTok or Instagram, and I didn't
Hmm.
know how like prolific they were on YouTube. Like I knew
Right,
them as
right.
like their videos are really cool whenever they show up on my feeds, but then like, and I started like going down this rabbit hole of like YouTube New Wave. I'm like, oh, these dudes are like they're like big deals. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're making cool, unique, different stuff that's like getting people's attention.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, another future rabbit hole for me to explore. We've
Love that
got
new wave. Yeah,
Love New Ways,
let's start
enjoy
tasting.
Life of Riza,
Oh yeah,
Cult,
yes.
Kirwan.
Those are two really great creators in that new wave for sure.
Yeah,
And they're
I
actually
will.
a couple them too. So yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. Question for Kyle: What
Do you do a
do
lot
you
of
do a lot
client?
of client work? Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, I do a fair amount of freelance work, which yeah, I'm curious to chat with you, Jeff, about that. Like
Hmm.
TikTok and Instagram has been really crazy for like cool opportunities in the last year, especially. I've gotten to work with some really cool brands, and even just now, like today, I got email from a brand that's really cool that I'm like, I don't want to like drop the name on here, but I'm like,
Sure, sure.
I'm like really stoked to work with them if that were to happen. Um, and I had a couple of those things recently where it's like in my head, like that would be a cool brand to work with, and then they like reach out to me a week or two later.
Hmm.
So that's been cool. Yeah, and I did some stuff for the Rolling Stones back a couple months ago. That
That's
was like
right.
a
Yeah,
cool opportunity.
congratulations. What
Thank
what a
you.
client. What a thing to put
Yeah,
on your resume. That's
that's
incredible.
yeah, and that's all thanks to Instagram. Like people seeing my work on Instagram. That's what I think I've shifted my view of like instead of like trying to seek like getting virality or seek lots of views. Like I want to make something that someone really cool on the other end, that
Hmm.
maybe works at a cool brand is gonna see. Like it should be more exciting about like who's viewing it instead of how many people are viewing it. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
Have
Yeah, that's similar for me. I haven't worked with the Rolling Stones quite yet.
not yet.
My
In
yeah, my
time.
day will come. but yeah, it's of course like it's tough to know like where my career would be like without my social media presence, because I do know there's a lot of very successful graphic designers and stuff who are like basically not on social media at all and just are
Mm.
able to make connections through just interpersonally or otherwise. But yeah, I've gotten quite a few like cool opportunities and clients, and yeah, just fun creative projects. You know, some that pay well, some that are just for fun, and you know everything in between, just through social media. So that's another way that I would just have to say like it's been such a positive, because it's led to just opportunities to meet people I never thought I would have gotten to
Yeah.
meet and work on creative stuff. Yeah, I mean the place where I'm recording this live stream right now is a podcast booth in this co-working space that I've been using for the past couple months. So that's been really fun
Yeah. I've
working out of
seen
there.
some
Um,
videos you'd have made of them.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
like a
and
cool spot.
hmm yeah, and that's been sort of just a work trade
Cool.
agreement where it's like
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
to work here for free and
A
just
barter
exchange
system.
barter system. Yeah,
That's what I
rather
want to
than
figure out with some co-working spaces around here.
totally. Yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, that's a really fun way to do it, because you know sometimes that's more fun than you know cold hard cash as well.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I want to figure that out with some hotels this year. Put that into the for
Totally.
what I like to do, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I also feel like I've definitely scored a lot of like free meals and favors from people, especially you know like more recently when I've just been posting that I'm living out of my van and everything. Sometimes I worry that like people feel sorry for me or something. Maybe maybe I come off as a little bit too much of a sad sack sometimes, and I need to
well, I do
express
love your
more
sticker
gratitude and
here. I live
joy
in a
in
van
life.
because I'm
Yeah.
sad.
Living
That's
in a van
pretty
because I'm
rad.
sad. Yeah, yeah. Like I wonder where do people get the idea? Why do they think that? Oh yeah, because I made a sticker that says that.
That's cool
Yeah,
though.
yeah. We're all crafting our own narratives here, aren't we?
I'm curious with you when it comes to like graphic design and illustrators, are there any like creators on TikTok or Instagram that you feel like really do a good job of like promoting their work, but it's not like cheesy or, you know, like it's unique and different? Do you, any people come to mind for you?
Oh, you put me on the spot. Let's see. People who share their work in a unique way. Um, first
Like,
person I thought it was Nick Quintero, Nick Q. I don't know if you follow him. He's another person I feel like I'm sort of TikTok, Instagram friends with, and I don't know. I feel like I relate to him a lot because he does a lot of like illustrations. His main thing is like he does these cowgirl illustrations
oh yeah,
with different yeah, so just static images, but then he also like does like a podcast, and he also like does videography. So like his content is this total uneven mix of some just like cool aesthetically pleasing illustration work, as well as just like him talking about like random things, and some of them are like personal, some of them are just like funny observational type things.
that's cool.
So yeah, yeah, I feel like people like that sort of inspire me, because that's something I wonder about constantly, is like should I have separate accounts or something, or
Mm,
consolidate like you know creative work versus just fun personal work, whatever. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
Let's see. Another question for you. What is your favorite movie?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I
Yeah.
like, you know, I love film. I love uh, it's so hard to like pin down one, but I guess if I had to, and I feel like it feels lame because it's like kind of like the hipster answer, but I think Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like my all-time favorite.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and it makes sense. It like it definitely influenced my work in this sense that like I love how Michel Gondry like uses both like analog and digital things. Like there's like this nice uh I don't know, it feels handmade, you know. Um like you,
Yeah, absolutely. And especially yeah, I as soon as you said that it immediately clicked. When I was thinking about your short film you made where people have like balls of
oh
yarn
yeah, yeah.
covering their faces, and the way it's this very surreal effect that's all in camera.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, Eternal Sunshine, or just Michel Gondry's work in general, deploys a lot of those types of yeah, very inventive practical effects.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely what comes to mind. And then like a favorite documentary of mine is like a more recent film actually, a couple years back. Mind in the Gap. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, yeah, the skateboarding
Yeah, yeah.
documentary.
That's like I want to make films like that. Like that's like the end goal for me, is to make things that are like super personal, but also like about really like bigger issues that, like, like that was like a film you think is about skateboarding, but it's really about like toxic masculinity and like manhood in America and stuff like.
That movie is so your vibe. Yeah, it's this mix of sort of a kind of almost this abstract surrealist kind of editing style with but with also just like really bare bones like
Yeah,
documentary,
yeah.
like yeah, pointing the camera at people. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a film I return to pretty often for inspiration. I like that a lot.
Wow, another hard-hitting
Oh,
question from
no.
Eileen Martinez. What is Kyle's favorite Muppet? Excellent
I,
question. Thank you
I
for
know, I know
asking.
you're a big Muppet guy, so
Oh yeah.
I guess I gotta say Kermit.
Kermit. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Tell me why.
just a swell dude.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Very wholesome. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lovers, the dreamers.
yeah. I, I think that's who I'd go with.
Okay. Great. Great answer. Yeah. I feel like if I asked you who your favorite president was, you'd say George Washington, but that's solid choice.
I know it's the normie answer. I do like
Uh,
the Muppets
no,
though.
Kermit is great. I identify with him a lot. I feel like he's got a lot of sort of insecurities, and he's sort of like he's probably like an Enneagram 9, I would think, the way he's like always struggling to be a peacemaker and get the band together and make sure everyone's having a good time, which of
Yeah.
course is a fool's errand, especially with a rowdy crowd like the Muppets.
Do you ever see the Weezer music video "Keep Fishing"?
Oh yeah, of course.
That's like my favorite use of the Muppets in that video. I think that was like that's a perfect music video right there.
Yeah, yeah. The Muppets and Weezer, kindred
Yeah.
spirits. Absolutely.
Were you a fan of the Jason Segel version of the Muppets? What do you think
I
of that one?
I was. I liked it. I think I only saw it once in theaters, so that was like over 10 years ago at this point. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, as reboots go, it's a really solid one.
Yeah.
Am I a man or am I a
Yeah,
Muppet?
yeah, that's
That's every morning
so
I
good.
look myself in the mirror and ask myself that very question.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I could see you making some videos incorporating like puppets into it. You ever
Totally. Yeah. Well, I
think
guess
about that, right?
the microphone that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
use
yeah.
with
That was
the googly
googly
eyes
eyes.
was I mean that honestly that was what inspired that video that I made that like got almost 1 million views. I think that might be my most viewed video
Oh, really?
on TikTok, was the one where it's just there's no editing at all. It's just me talking to the camera saying the best way to judge someone's character is ask them their favorite Muppet. And basically that was the inspiration, was because yeah, once I put the googly eyes on the microphone, it seemed like it just added so much personality. The microphone became a character in itself, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, no. So I just wanted like really quickly to make a video where I was incorporating the microphone, had the microphone
Yeah.
in camera, and yeah, yeah. But no, sure, for sure that would be fun to incorporate more,
Yeah.
yeah, more puppet characters. All right, but final question for you, Kyle. What is the art life? How does one live the art life?
Yeah, that's a hard question. You know, I like go back and forth between what it looks like to keep the passion for art alive in like your day to day. And I think for me, oddly enough, and it just might be my personality, is like the less time I have to work on art, the more valuable it is to me, and how the more I want to do it. So like I'm not at a moment in my life where I can just do my art the whole day. I
Mm-hmm.
love to get to a place of that where I'm just doing the creative stuff that I want to do. Uh, Maybe it's possible one day with YouTube or something. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
That
but
passive income dream. Yeah, keep pursuing that.
yeah. But like, so because I only have these little tiny pockets throughout the day to actually work on stuff, like there's so much more urgency to it, and so
Mm.
like that's where I feel like I make my best work. And I think back to times in my life where I had like more time to work on art, and I felt like paralyzed by that like amount of time I had. Like this is too much time. But when I have only these little pockets of time, um, like I'm always really inspired to just keep making things. Uh, yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
the secret to art life is to not have enough time to work on your art.
That's so true. I really think there is a lot of wisdom in that. Yeah, because sometimes I think about that of I don't know, because someone who doesn't have children, isn't married, like theoretically I have all the time in the world to produce art, and then I see like people who have like 8 kids and are like more productive than me, and it's like, what's my excuse? Yeah, so maybe the more work you do, the more time there is to squeeze more work in.
Yeah, it's I don't know, yeah, it's like, and I guess also creating like creative routines is, I think, or rituals are important to like keep it alive. Like if you have a long-term goal to work on something, like
Hmm.
chipping at it like a day by day, like little, you know, bits at a time, is how uh, bigger projects get done,
Yeah.
so like,
Do you have any creative routines that you do every day like that?
um not at the moment right now. Life's been super busy and hectic.
Hmm.
It used to be like at night once the kids go to bed, like, for an hour or two would just work on creative stuff.
Hmm.
um, but like right now it is kind of like I need to get back to having some better habits of like consistent times. It's just like throughout the day I'll have an idea, I'll like work on it for a little bit, then do other work I need to be working on, then return to it, then
Hmm.
throughout the day, and then maybe have something at night to finish up and then post it the next day or something. Like it's kind of like all over the place. But
Sure.
um
Yeah.
somehow it's worked until now. I think sometimes I'm like, should I have like a content strategy? Like, but I don't know if that would take away the magic of like, planning out how I'm gonna post things throughout a week.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've had that too, where sometimes people ask me, "What's your content strategy?" or something like that. Do you schedule your posts? And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't do any of that." And people, yeah, they're like shocked, like, "What? You got to get a content strategy. You got to get a content strategy." Uh, yeah. To me, that sounds horrifying. It's like let's bring more bureaucracy into the
Yeah,
into the mix. Yeah.
I know. I like the unpredictability of that. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna post tomorrow. Like,
Right.
I'm telling
Right.
you right now. But
And yeah, I mean, at least for me, I just feel like it wouldn't be effective, because I feel like people can smell it, when something is insincere or when something is strategically planned
yeah,
in that way. Yeah.
yeah, totally. So I guess it comes down to just what we're talking about in the beginning.
Hmm.
Lead with vulnerability, and make things you're proud of.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that sounds very much like something Kermit the Frog would say. Kyle is Kermit. Yeah.
That's my wife jumping in
Truer
there.
words. Wow. Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you
Love
so
you,
much
Bethany.
for
I should say that to her.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
I said, love you, Bethany.
Oh, yeah, no, no. Yeah,
Thanks for jumping
please,
on.
yeah.
My wife's
Uh
also a very talented artist, so that's
yeah, yeah. I
uh,
follow her on Instagram as well.
cool.
Super cool person. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
incredibly talented, and
That's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah, I
I want
love how
to
you
shout her out
incorporate your family life into your videos and content as well. That's really cool.
there. Nice. Yeah, it's hard. It's a tricky balance with having kids and not wanting to like, you want to keep some parts of your life private and sacred, but then also like my kids
Mhm.
are super creative kids as well, and so like one of my sons wants to be an actor, one of
Yeah.
my sons wants to be a cook, a chef, and so like, and the youngest one's still figuring out what he wants to be, maybe a comedian. but
Yeah.
um, but
That
yeah,
yeah,
like,
that video you posted about your kid who wants to open his own restaurant or
yeah,
be a
yeah.
chef, that was very touching. You're such a cool dad, encouraging him to go for it and not play it safe. I love that.
Yeah, I guess that's with being a creative person. You gotta encourage the creativity, you know?
Totally. Yeah, thanks for a great conversation, Kyle. This was so fun to meet you in person. I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? Plug your stuff, of course.
No, I'm excited we got to hang out and chat, and like it's cool how with social media, the friends that I've made on here, like the people that like I could see us being friends in real life, so it's like
Yeah,
that's why,
yeah,
and I think there's something unique about that, how like I don't know, I feel like maybe there's this intimate relationship that's built with like different creators on here, um and like so I'm glad we got a chance to chat and hang out, and it's like, yeah, I'm like super curious. I want to ask you more questions about like what's van life been like and everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go
Maybe,
ahead. Ask me what's van life like, just in general.
yeah, are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. Yeah. Like I said, probably my biggest surprise so far has been how little traveling I've done.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like I've just been, I don't know, I was kind of like, I was going to come back to Phoenix and kind of survive the winter. And like, I had some like creative projects I was doing here. And then those just creative projects just continue to happen here. And of course, I have friends here and everything. And yeah, not complaining at all, honestly, because I was just thinking this recently about how like, I don't know, like part of me is like kicking myself for like, man, I should be like camping in the woods and sleeping in national parks and stuff all the time. But there's just like so much fun stuff that's been happening in the city with friends
That's
and creative
awesome.
opportunities and stuff that I'm enjoying it. So I just yeah haven't
That's
been able to
great.
get away so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but in terms of like sleeping in the city can be a little bit awkward, but oftentimes I'm
Yeah.
like sleeping like in friends' driveways and stuff like that. So I feel
Okay.
like I have a hedge of protection,
Yeah, yeah.
hedge of legitimacy of like this person said it was okay okay to be here.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I mean, it's pretty easy. I feel like maybe more people should do it. If you,
Yeah.
it's obviously a great way to reduce cost of living. If the rent is too damn high, try
Yeah,
try
yeah.
just living out of your car. You don't need to be traveling and be like an outdoorsy person all the time if you don't want to.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we should also definitely we should collaborate again. We should make something together.
We should.
I
Yeah, we
think
should
it'd be
make
fun. If you have
more
any like,
videos, more animations. Yeah.
yeah, if you have like any illustrations that I could like turn into an animation and would tell a story somehow, that'd be
Yeah.
fun to do.
I'd love to do that. Maybe yeah, maybe something about us having matching beanies. I'll try to think of like a clever graphic to illustrate that. Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool,
All
cool.
right. Cool. Well, yeah, this has been an enjoyable conversation. Thanks again, Kyle, for
Yeah,
being
man.
here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, totally. All
Cool,
right,
dude.
thanks everyone who's watching.
Yeah,
Appreciate your comments and we'll see you next time.
sweet. See you later.